It was in every right.
Oh, I was about to do a T. I was about to do a T duck there. I was about to shoot your message going, Munson, there's an echo. But it was me. It was me. Yeah, it was me.
Oh, okay. You had another tab open, did you? Well done. You sorted that.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
we're ready to roll then. I did ask you how you were before before showtime, and it sounds like you're chipper and all good.
Yeah, in the few seconds, because I was crying, I think, when you spoke to me when I came in.
I think just being together cheers us both up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Very good recovery. So well done. Is it because of all the difficult content you've been covering recently? Tommy Robinson, Reform, the riots in Lisbon. It's been a pretty dark week, isn't it, in many ways?
It's been really interesting. I mean, and I feel like, good evening, Mr. Strategist. Mr. Strategist, I believe that is his real name. But
it was Dave. Anyway, go on.
But yeah, they all kind of tied together in a way, at least in my mind, they did somehow. But yeah,
okay. So what would you file them under then, generally speaking?
Just bollocks. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, shitstorm is what I would.
Just what, you know, just I don't know. It's very difficult to. There's so many weird threads and things like that. It's kind of like and you can't. You have to be quite careful how you. Well, maybe you should be quite careful how you speak about it, because some people get very touchy. It's just that I saw parallels with you remember George Floyd in the US, George Floyd thing, and what I remember, what struck me at the time was obviously I'm against police brutality, obviously. You know what I mean? There's no, you always feel like whenever you talk about one of these topics, you have to apologize. And in a way, you shouldn't have to, because every argument should stand on its own, right?
Very interesting.
But what was interesting for me was I just felt like why is it quite often, I'm not going to say always because it's not always, but why is it quite often that the people who are being lionized are kind of the worst of people? That was just my.
Well, there's two parts to that, aren't there? I mean, like, are they the worst of people, and are they being lionized? And that's quite partial, isn't it? Because I think you might have said this in your video about the man who was killed or shot in Lisbon. That obviously friends and family would be upset about that, and that I mean, by them being upset at the loss of a family member, is that what you mean by lionizing? Are you talking about the other ideologues who jumped on it
I'm talking about the grifters. I think there's a set of people, because if that I think there's a process, right? There's a process. What will happen with this police officer, whether or not that process is transparent or not, is kind of beside my point. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because what I was trying to say was, like, there seems to be different standards depending on which side of things you're on. Let me give you an example of what I mean. So there were people, for example, as I expected on my video, saying, well, there's background to this, so you don't understand why the people are rioting. Okay, why they're rioting. And this is in a context. I mean, of course, not all rioters did this. There was a small group of people who were responsible, for example, for throwing a Molotov cocktail into a bus.
And then
has left the bus driver with life-changing injuries. And presumably he had nothing to do with it. And they also stabbed two people on the bus. But well, there's a lot of background to it. This has been bubbling over for a long time. And that sounds exactly like what the people were saying in England when they had riots recently. The so-called far right went out rioting after some girls were murdered.
Yeah.
And I haven't had a chance.
They're not given the same pass, that their behaviour wasn't justified on the
Right.
pitch. Okay, yeah, well, I can see that.
So what I'm saying is you're using exactly the same argument, because I also think they were wrong for trying to set fire to a immigration.
Yes, but they weren't given the same pass. Is your point.
But their argument was the same, wasn't it? Their argument was, well, this has been boiling over, you know.
Well, what struck me, and I've written about this in the Portugal Resident this week, is Joana Amaral, the attractive pundit of CNN here in attractive to me anyway. So beauty is skin deep and subjective, isn't it? Anyway, she was saying, too soon. How about there be a process, and how about we talk about education and broader issues? Because what it strikes me, she's absolutely right, and the guy's body is barely cold before every ideological angle was exploiting.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty disgusting, and that's what happened. That's what tends to happen anyway. You get the ideologues seconding these casualties of people who've been killed or injured or whatever, imprisoned, for example, as well, for their own purposes. And it becomes very little to do actually with the person in question, and more to do with the seconded cause, and that's pretty disgusting.
And I think people kind of missed the point of what I was trying to say, which was, like, take for example a very, very simple search of the internet showed, that's interesting, Crypto. I was about to say that I've seen the breaking news today that it actually appears that they are charging that guy under the Terrorism Act now. But to be honest, it's still kind of breaking in the UK, so I haven't had much time to think about it. But this is very interesting to see how that's progressing, isn't it? But what it was, a very simple search on the internet showed that the Lisbon guy, I'm really sorry I've forgotten his name, and I don't want to be disrespectful.
Manish, as crypto strategist has it on the screen here.
He you could see very easily that he had a quite extensive criminal record, had served prison time for drug dealing and armed robbery and all sorts of things. Okay. Now, again, I don't think that justifies him being unlawfully killed by the PSP. But what my argument would be is, recently we had the case in the UK with this lad who was the police officer's just been found not guilty of murder. 2 years ago, he shot
Chris Cabra.
Chris Cabra. Thank you. I rely on you for this side of my memory.
Steady on, but I think that was his name. And that was a similarly co-opted case, wasn't it?
And the thing was, he was also painted as this paragon of virtue, right? And that's fine. But what my argument would be is, okay, if we're gonna, what we should do is either say, well, there's no reporting, because if you put out the narrative that this guy is a paragon of virtue, this has been going on for a long time. I remember in America with that Trayvon Martin was the same thing, and they were showing pictures. I don't know if you remember that kid, but they were showing, it was a similar thing, but they were showing pictures of him like at school wearing a school uniform and all this kind of stuff, and it paints a narrative. It gets the grifters working, and then the riots ensue. But so what I would say is, you can't have it both ways. We've either got to have the whole truth about the person. You know what I mean?
Well, you put an interesting proposition. I mean, I understand what you're saying.
Or nothing.
Well, how would that ever happen? I mean, you mean morally it is wrong to have double standards?
Well, with Chris Cabra, the judge actually stopped anyone from saying anything about his criminal history. There was an injunction.
Yes. Yeah. No, I understand that. I understand that. And I understand the point you're making. And in reality, where would you see that landing or going in the current way of the world? Because whilst I agree with you that there are these howling double standards, if you look for them, and moral imprecision, any euphemism you like for how this is hypocrisy and doesn't add up, depending on who's reporting it and what their aims are. That's not going to be stopping anytime soon, is it? I don't think.
Yeah, well, I think not to get too hung up on this left and right thing, but I do think the left has got a real blind spot when it comes to this, because I mean, how many times do you have to get left holding the can with some like pretty nasty people who you've been like, lionizing for the last few years. How many times does that have to happen until you stop and say, this sounds too good to be true in a way? It sounds too good to be true. Well, the police have shot someone, and not only might it have been unlawful, but this guy was a pillar of the community. He was a good father. He was a loving husband.
He might have been that as well, mightn't he? He may have been.
He might have been, Carl, but I think we.
I do get a great sense of of what you see as an injustice here, and it's really important to me in the conversations that we have to see realistically, practically, what's going to happen with this, and as well as having a moral or theoretical, ideological view of it, how would this actually work in our own lives? And it seems to me like it's a sort of buyer beware almost, isn't it? Is that the best thing to do is not hope for the system to change, but to become wiser yourself in how you view these things, perhaps.
Well, I hope that in some small way, making a video or something, trying to put that across to people and say, listen, pay attention. Why are you being fed a narrative? And that goes for everyone, whatever side of politics you're on. Why is this narrative suddenly being pushed to you so hard? What's the motivation?
No, I see you.
Why is that happening?
Is a great opportunity for us to expose our less obvious agendas, isn't it? I definitely I don't know if proselytize is the right word, but when I make videos, I am pushing forward my personal ideas, beliefs, and agendas. I don't pretend for a moment that I'm doing anything. I might pretend for a moment, but that's probably it. That I'm doing something noble and useful. It really is. It really is a authentic in the sense this is what I want to share. Take it or leave it. And I think you're like that as well. And I think you do some of what you just said. Is have you thought about it in a different way? You are provocative in a good way. In that way, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, Tommy Robinson is a case in point, isn't he? Because this was quite interesting. Because for me, I sort of, before I became sort of interested in, like a lot of people, I had a period of my life between, say, maybe 22, 23 and say 40, where I was too busy to think about any to think about any of this stuff. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? If I wasn't working, I was drinking, probably. You know what I mean? So all of this stuff, I sort of had a vague awareness of who Tommy Robinson was, but it wasn't really until the Rotherham thing, and I have to say, even though I do think he's probably politically toxic and whatever people want to throw at him, that there's probably countless thousands of young British girls who won't be raped as a direct consequence of Tommy Robinson's actions. So he gets quite a bit of a pass from me
on that basis
because of that. You know what I mean? And then,
what are the mechanics of that exactly, as you see it?
Well, he exposed the Rotherham
so by
scandal.
imprisoning some of the perpetrators, that will have spared people the same treatment. Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Plus, people are aware of it, and I think that it's caused a lot of people in certain positions to take a bit of a look at themselves.
And that's his mission, isn't it? On one level, for sure.
And the other thing about him, I've noticed, for example, James O'Brien, who I know both of us love very much. But the other day, and I've seen them. They're in kind of lockstep on X again. This kind of lockstep approach, which is, smirking because who's that comedian? James Pye, Jonathan Pye.
Oh, Jonathan Pye, yeah.
Jonathan Pye, and he's there, and they're all in lockstep. They're all like, haha, smirking again as Tommy Robinson is asking for money to help his defense, but he pled guilty, right? Because lawyers. Because
Pye is like the Tony Blair of comedy, isn't he? Really?
Oh, it's horrific. He's absolutely horrific, and it's because lawyers are free when you're pleading guilty, aren't they? And then of course, both James O'Brien gets paid a salary. I mean, it's just it's so
to editorialize.
It's so transparent to me what they're doing.
But that's what brings us back to the same point. Is And I want to say more about this because I'm uncomfortable about something I said this morning about and what we're doing next Tuesday, and what I said about the US election this morning on my morning show about it being entertainment.
Yeah.
It's it seems really important, doesn't it? If you kind of get obsessed and drill into it and make it important. And we don't have to watch James O'Brien, do we? We don't have to watch Jonathan Pye. And kind of like more fool us if we do and then get offended or disturbed by it, which I did this morning. I did watch a bit of James O'Brien, and I kind of, it's a rubbernecking revulsion sort of thing because I find him so hideously smug. And presumably a mirror as well. You know, all sorts of things are going on in those psychological dynamics, aren't they, when you watch someone who you find hideous? And we don't have to watch him. And again, you know, that's not going to be changing. Global, I think, is the company who owns him or who is in a relationship with. And all LBC
strings.
Yeah, those LBC presenters have all got great figures because they're very good at playing that particular game they do.
Yeah.
I think all of them, and I listen to them all at times. Not so much Nick Ferrari, but James O'Brien occasionally, Ben Kentish and Tom Swarbrick. All of their numbers are up, and they're very pleased with themselves, and obviously the company is very pleased with them, and that's good for business because you know you'll have a serious issue, won't you, about whatever it is, Tommy Robinson or the Middle East or something, and then you've got like a double glazing advert. It's just that's a mad world. Nothing really important is ever going to get discussed to a satisfactory level. It's entertainment.
But on the other hand, Carl, you're doing the right thing, I think, because you have to watch the ones you don't like as well.
And that's what we'll be doing next Tuesday.
To balance, because I think both of us,
what next Tuesday's about.
For better or worse, we're kind of news junkies, aren't we? We've got a good reason to do it. We do it because we like to talk about it and think about it, you know.
Yes.
but what I mean is, I think you're doing the right thing. You have to look at James O'Brien sometimes, because they're you know, he's there, isn't he?
That's the quote. That's the quote of the week. You have to look at James O'Brien sometimes.
But who's funny for me? Have you ever seen? There's a show called The Young Turks. Have you ever? I used to watch that a lot. That they were kind of my lefty. They were kind of my lefty fix.
Yeah, not
but
for
after a while, I stopped because I just found it I found it unbearable.
Yeah.
But the woman who's on his show, Anna Kasparian, it's very interesting because she has found herself in a similar position on certain issues as J.K. Rowling.
Well, that's what's going to be happening at the moment, isn't it?
So what's happened, of course, is she's being excommunicated by the let's say I hate these. Everyone knows what I mean, right? When I say
her own,
So she's
beyond the pale. That's the old phrase, isn't it?
Yeah. So a lot of people are saying she's being, as they say, red pill, don't they? She's kind of being red pill because she's realizing what happens if you go and get it.
I'm going to. Now, as a vegan, do you draw the line? What do you believe? How is this for you to see? Oh, you got.
I've got strips. I do it with strips.
Oh, do you? The old-fashioned fire paper.
Yeah. There you go. Up there under my feather duster,
and then recycle it. You've got some very heavy books as well. These are where all your old left-wing ideas are kept.
These are my encyclopedia of left-wing ideology.
Paraphernalia.
Yeah, paraphernalia.
No wonder that shelf is buckling under the weight of that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm a bit offended here. We got a lot of It wasn't.
Oh, really? I have to try harder.
No, not you, Tony. Never you. Never you.
This is the kind of thing I have just later out of my office. So I really should.
You do some embroidery as well. What's that?
You don't know what that is? That's fine. No. Let's see if anyone recognizes what it is. I'll just leave it there.
Your frog was identified recently.
Oh yeah. What's his name? What's that frog called?
What's his name, T-Duck? What's the frog called?
Pepe. See, this is a funny thing about Pepe as well. Pepe in the US, is a right. This is my understanding. Is like a right wing meme, right? Isn't it? Like Pepe is part of the alt right. That's what they call it, the alt right in the US. But in Hong Kong, Pepe was the symbol of the umbrella movement, the Hong Kong protesters.
Oh, really? And that's why you've got it? or you just
Yeah, well,
change you change your story according to who your audience is.
yeah, that's why I have it this evening. Anyway, yeah.
Right.
No, but seriously, that's why I have. I've got a key ring of Pepe somewhere as well. Yeah.
Have you? Okay,
Because
definitely
he was the
Oh, Pepe Lamar is a skunk as well. That's right.
yeah.
Okay, that's a little bit too much of a distraction there. Good evening to you, Jackie and T Duck.
Yeah, hello everybody. Hello, everybody. Don't mind us.
We're just trying to do a live stream. No, but hold on a minute. You've got some.
I tell you what, guy. I tell you what. I'm very distracted by Joanna Amaral.
Are you? Have you just looked her up when I mentioned her name?
Yeah, I mean, she's a news presenter. What channel?
She's a pundit on CNN, and I think she's a member of ADN, which makes her even more attractive.
Wow.
Can we just talk among ourselves while Tony looks at Joanna Amaral for a couple of minutes?
Well, let them have a look.
Okay.
See if they get what I'm talking about. Hang on a second. I'm going to just
attractive lady, no question. Yeah, and it's it just seems like, oh, here we go. Portuguese is sharing a screen now. There she is. Okay. Yeah. Did you want to add any further comment, or is that
I don't know why that one with the pink top has been kind of clicked on either. I don't know what happened there.
Who's been on my browser? said Daddy Bear.
Shake brings all the boys to the yard.
All right, okay. If I can have your attention back here into the
Munson, I've closed the tab.
It's not black and white.
Yeah.
Right, look at that. I didn't know you were a disillusioned leftist. Join the club. Oh, look at that from Helder Pinto tonight.
Yeah.
Me too, both of us. We've had woke-offs here, Helder. Me and Tony have got some very funny and embarrassing relics, haven't we? Some ideological relics in our past.
Yeah.
Closets. Okay, now can you keep it down? We're trying to chat over. Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Right, let's see what's going in here. Oh, going on in here. Yeah, I mean that weird UK news. I don't know how much you want to talk about that. I think there's a really disturbing news item from the UK yesterday about the birth rate. The birth rate is terrifying and socially. I mean, if you think these political stories are destructive to society, look at the birth rate in the UK. That is literally destructive to society.
Yeah.
In how few children will be born soon.
Well, what's interesting about the birth rate, and just putting this out
there. Are you
there,
still looking at Joanna Amaral while you're talking about the?
No, I've closed that tab, but I just know that I saw something. It's not kidding, right? Not kidding.
Yeah,
well done, by the way.
Did you like that? Good headline.
Yeah,
huh?
I like that one.
Very good.
You got one view on that one as well. So.
No way.
Oh no, sorry, no, you got 0 views.
Oh, okay.
Which is
you've just taken me up and down like a roller coaster.
Yeah. Right. But it's I just want to throw this out there. I'm not going to comment on what I'm about to say. I'm just throwing this out there.
Oh,
is that birth rate consistent across different communities?
No wonder you're just throwing it out there. What I'm going to throw out there, and I'm happy to take questions on this, is it connected with the amount of sex people are having, or is it the amount of fertility? Because these are two interesting issues, aren't there? That it's said, isn't it, that young people are finding it difficult to meet each other, and they might not be going at it quite like you and I did or would have wished to back in the day.
Quite like you and I did.
Well, like I say, like we would have wanted to, or we actually
with other people, right?
Not with each other. That's not one of our left.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
That matters, but we haven't met at that point. And that is not one of our leftist secrets. He was not my wife's husband, and is unlikely to be.
Who's this? Yeah, I mean that could tie in with you've got here understanding the most anxious country in the world.
Yes,
that could tie in a bit there.
Didn't you comment about this guy's video? Do you know this? Do you know the backstory for this? Do you know
I don't.
You don't?
I don't.
Oh my word! Okay, I'll give you 3 guesses. Do you want multiple choice, or do you just want to go
multiple choice?
Okay, so the most anxious country in the world, is it number 1? Is it America, from where this chap is from? I think his name is Mark Manson. No relative. I'm Munson. He's Manson. Is it Portugal, B, or is it C, Japan?
I've heard stories about all of them. I mean, Japan,
and that's why I chose.
Yeah, well, Japan, you've got the they've got I can't remember the name of them, but there's a group of people who never leave their homes.
I used to know their name, and I was fascinated by that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got that. in the US, you've got it seems like
the
everybody
home of
has
psychotherapy. The home
yeah,
of
exactly. The home of psychotherapy. Portugal, I don't
where we live.
feel it. I don't feel it. They're quite outgoing people, actually. I'm going to go with. Oh, I don't know now. Right. Well, it's just a crapshoot. I'm going to go with Portugal.
Oh, that really messes me up because I was going to play this jingle. However, it is this. Portuguese, you've won the caravan. You're absolutely right. Incredible. Do you want to double that or should we just
well, we'll double it to what? two caravans.
Obviously, you've done the math.
I'm a teacher.
Education, the best in the world.
Go.
Yeah. Okay. So Portugal is apparently the most anxious country in the world. Now, this bloke is fast on the way to becoming a YouTubing James O'Brien for me. He is the bloke who wrote The Art of Not Giving an F, and I'm not going to give him any extra credit by swearing live unnecessarily. He's a potty-mouthed individual. He went to Fatima as part of his research for this video. So, I mean, it makes both of us, it would make both of us feel quite insecure and inadequate, the production budget and all that he's been able to put into this video. It's an incredibly well-made video. It's eventually, though, it's the kind of video where I'm thinking, oh, it's so overproduced and so manipulative, and it's got a sponsor, and that comes in, that clunks in halfway through in a really sort of awkward way. And yes, he starts off with a fact, some sort of I think he's got a psychology background, and it's some dodgy bit of research, I think, or a bit of research. Let's call it a bit of research, which scored Portugal really highly in some sort of index of anxious countries. And then he makes an entire video around that one bit of research. I mean, I don't even bother to have one bit of research, and nor do you if you want to make a video, right? But to pretend that it is the most anxious country because of one piece of research, and they make a massive production video about it, I think he's got other agendas, and he really has started to annoy me after 3 videos.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, I've got no research to back it up, but I only said Portugal because it was kind of I didn't know, and it was almost for me, I almost feel like it was the contrarian answer.
Yeah, and there is a bit of sort of product placement. That is Portugal there, isn't it? If you're looking at his image, he is in a Portuguese. He's in a Lisbon street right there.
Yeah. Maybe that was subliminally implanted.
Yeah, and I get it.
That's what he's doing.
It's an interesting video. It's worth watching, but I think it's pretty spurious in the end. And he's basically, it's more about anxiety than it is about Portugal, I would say.
I've never had any sense. I mean, maybe I'm not really, what is anxiety, but I've never had any sense that Portuguese people are reserved or shy. I'm sure there are some, but I don't get that. Of course, maybe they're all indoors and I never see them.
Well, there could be that, but given his figures and angle on this, you would expect to be going everywhere and have an anxious.
I don't have any feeling like that. Bom dia. Maybe I live in a place where there's not much anxiety.
I've travelled quite a lot of Portugal, and my experience here. I mean, we're not Portuguese, so there is that. We are voyeurs, viewers of the culture. But I didn't move here. I moved here for quite the opposite reason. I moved here because it was a friendly country.
But people are kind of hearty and shake hands and hug and
exactly
talk loudly.
And do you know what might have happened here? I think the research is to blame. And what would have happened is it would have been an American research team, and I think the American mindset and the Portuguese mindset are actually very, very different. They're almost sort of antithetical in many ways. The American team would have been marking Portuguese people and their answers and asking them questions, and they might have taken forthrightness as a sign of anxiety. So if you ask the Portuguese person, right, what they think of their government, and the Portuguese person might say, it's sort of riddled with corruption, it sucks, it always has done, it probably always will do, but hey ho, that's life, let's have a glass of wine. It's like, well, that's definitely very anxious, isn't it? They are resigned to their fate politically. So it might be something to do with the research, how the researchers saw the subjects rather than how the subjects actually are, and that is the problem with psychology, is it?
If also, not to kind of undermine the whole thing, if it's also, I'm just laughing because crypto strategists said that unfortunately Joanna is 44, so she's a bit old for his taste.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
she can
Well-
still make a difference to the UK fertility rates, crypto strategist.
Well,
Yeah.
you know,
Right,
yeah,
okay.
she's about to hit the wall, as they say in the
She'll be
God,
gutted.
did I?
She will be
Yeah, you know,
gutted
please.
when she
When
hears
I
that
say
image.
that, I said that kind of like, I don't know. I regret saying it already. Let me put that back in my mouth.
Is it the it's the what's his name, Fox moment, isn't it, when he got sacked from GB News? We're in that sort of territory, aren't we? Lots of Fox when he got fired.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah.
Okay. Well,
But
we can't really get fired here, can we? We could
we
get
can't
cancelled,
really.
but not fired.
But what I was thinking about with this guy's video, you're saying there's a lot of production in it. You can remember that. Engagement equals money, right?
Yes.
So
Here's a good example on the screen now.
Yeah. Wow.
And
Wow,
that's on your channel. Hold on a minute. That's not fair.
Well, no, I'll split it with you.
Will you? Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'll split it
By the
with
time you've driven over here, you'll be out of pocket to be halfway. Okay. Thank you, though, Helder.
I'll split
not
it
to be
with you.
ungrateful. Not to be
Well,
ungrateful.
what I'll do later on, I'll give you a super for a year.
Give me a one. No, but then Google don't, for every £2 super chat, don't Google take $10. I think it's something like that, isn't it? Are you not meant to say that?
Well,
Seriously? Give over.
No. You can say it, but
Right. Now what's going to happen? What? No, seriously?
Well, I can give you an example. Listen, everyone who watches this. Everyone who watches this show knows by now that we go off on crazy tangents, but there's always some link, right?
Really?
Now, I put a story on Posthaven, and I was a little bit reluctant to do it, and it was 80,000 poppies for this nonsense, right?
Oh yes.
Now, what that story is, obviously, you guys know that every year we have the poppy appeal.
God, this is a tangent. This is a
tangent. The UK. No. But there's a reason. Trust me, it links. Right. And what it turns out is they've hired an equalities officer.
Oh yeah. I saw this.
And you know, the company that does it's the Royal Legion, isn't it?
She looks lovely. Legion. Oh, that's not her, is it?
And
that's Isabella.
Yeah.
And Kevin.
Where did she come from, by the way? She's just suddenly
she married to Richard Tice.
Is it?
I think so.
No, but I feel like she's just kind of
crypto strategist will know, and he'll know how old she is as well.
She's just kind of spawned in the last 6 months, hasn't she?
Yeah. Somehow. I'm not going to read these out, by the way. I'm not going to read these out because they may be employees or spies or something like that.
But what it is it turns out that they've hired this equalities officer, and they're paying, I can't remember what her salary is. It's £67,000, and they calculated that.
You said that quite angrily. Yeah.
Well. Surely they can find a volunteer.
You think so when you're in a charity?
But well, why did she 67,000? And then after you add on all the other bits and bobs that you have to pay them, they calculated that the first 80,000 poppies sold.
Will cover the salary.
Would just cover her salary, and that's year on year. And so why would you guess that I was reluctant to spread this story?
Because you might get cancelled for speaking.
Well, part of me was I thought what's going to happen is if this story goes too wide, is it will stop people from buying poppies, won't it?
It will. That's right. I see what you mean. Yeah. Okay. All right. So if we discourage people from giving us super chats, they
let's not discourage people.
No, that wasn't Helder. That wasn't in any way meant to be a discouragement. It was just a little bit of social commentary in the meager livings that are made online. When you think that Tony the Portuguese, that's just to front his Boeing shelves. He could afford really expensive shelves, but he chooses not to. He can't, and that will go in. I mean,
a Kindle.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. Come into this age in history as well. All right, we'll come back to some of those stories a little bit later on because we are ignoring our friends who are here tonight. I just need to get back to where we got to, which is some time ago.
So on your screen, you can obviously see my chats, or have we kind of got a mixed?
No,
chat?
I can see your chats. I can see a lot of your followers on my screen. So, and I'm not
But
charging you.
but is it mixed? What I mean is it just
It's
mixed?
it's
So you've
anyone
got like
making a comment.
you've got like one column. Okay, I don't know
Yeah,
how it works. I don't know how it works.
well, whoever makes a comment, it comes in on my
Hey,
pre.
Skywatcher Carlos is in the house. He's just said
Yes.
Google
Well,
45%.
I will get to
He's
that. I will get
he's
to
got
that.
an interesting YouTube channel, by the way. I quite
Skywatcher.
enjoy yeah, I
Is he
quite
an
enjoy his.
astronomer or a rocket scientist or what?
He tends to be looking at the sky that we can see with he kind of points his lens at interesting things that are happening in the visual.
Metaphorically or actually?
No, actually,
Okay. All
yeah.
right.
I'm not making it sound as interesting as it is. It is quite interesting.
Okay, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
hooked.
Yeah.
Good evening. Tuning in from my other account, Fleedom. This is. I'm formerly known as the Troll. Keep it. Yeah, we remember you from last week and your trolling. The Terrorism Act charge. Oh, this is the person who killed the little girls in UK.
Yeah. See what a difference a couple of months make, right?
Yes, there was no haste, was there? It would appear with this particular case, and there's always a good, seemingly rational reason, isn't there, for why that might be? Oh, we had to act quickly because of this. Oh, we couldn't act quickly because of this. Yeah, and that's how it tends to go. Evening chap says Carlos Castrejo, the Portuguese elites are generally jealous of the Anglosphere. What is happening here is basically the BLM events the US and UK went through. We are always behind global events. I did refer to it in my Portugal resident column as Portugal's George Floyd moment, possibly. What happened here in the last couple of weeks. Spent a day making a video, says Freedom, about my view on things, tracking it since 2020. Excellent. Maybe you should join us next Tuesday, Freedom. And that's an invitation to a lot of you very interesting people here. I think Hugh will probably join us. We'd love people to join us on the screen for our show next week. Are we going to start at 7 and go all the way through? Or should we start later?
You mean like not have a break or just kind of?
No, I think we should keep broadcasting, but should we start at 7 like we normally do, or start at 9 or 10 and go through the early hours, the wee hours?
I don't know. I
don't have to answer that right now.
I just kind of assumed we'd start at 7 and then roll into the next part at 8. But I mean, I was going to say, sorry guys, you're going to have to listen to me because it's front of mind now.
Yeah,
so I'll just say this quickly. I did have an idea that we could like give each other a break.
Yeah, I think we should do that and maybe have put some coverage on, just live stream some other feeds that are coming through, because we will have to have comfort breaks, as they're known in the United States from time to time. But we would
unlike Donald Trump. Did you hear this? Donald Trump was on Joe Rogan,
right? And he's got an iron bladder, has he?
Yeah, well, this was the thing. This is I haven't watched it. I can't imagine that he said anything interesting that I've never heard before. And I certainly don't want to watch. I don't want to watch 3 hours of him sitting there going, "Yeah, it was perfect." What I did.
But did you get the photo of him finally coming out and urinating? Because it looks like that's what he's doing in that picture.
Well, that was Joe Rogan's takeaway from the whole thing. That was the first thing he said. He said, "You know what? He didn't go to the toilet, man."
Unless he wears nappies, he may have a system.
Well, that's one of the rumors, isn't it? Yeah.
I guess the technology is very good these days.
That's a good idea, Jackie. I think
we should do the same.
Carl,
we should get sponsorship.
Jackie's just saying that after the all-nighter, you should do 20,000 steps with me.
What is this turning into, like a Japanese endurance show now? We're just doing a bit of coverage of the American election next week.
Yeah, you can just join us while we watch TV. Yeah.
Exactly. I've got a confession to make about it. I'll come back to that. But I still haven't. Every time I go to the comments, you comment, Tony. Rogan and Trump interview, just brilliant.
Go on then.
Says Hugh. I think Hugh will be joining us from time to time next Tuesday night. So that's the deal anyway. We'll start at 7 and we'll go through until my morning show at 9 the next Wednesday morning. And then I'm going to go to bed after that. And are you going to go out stepping and do some live streaming and talk to Portuguese people maybe, Tony? This is coming together beautifully.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see how I feel afterwards. Yeah, I'm normally in bed by 9:30.
So you could be out in a right old state, basically. Maybe we'll have to have some power snoozes as well, live on air, possibly. Okay, so thank you, Freedom. Thank you, Crypto Strategist, and Carlos. The very interesting comments there about the Portuguese elite with bunny ears on there, and you spent the day making a video. Just put the link, send the link to me. I don't think you can post it in the chat, but we need to know about that. The opposition to ideological parties, the smearing, demonization, the cancellation, ruining, often commercially driven. I think that's two sentences there that sums up politics and social change of the last, 10, 20 years?
Isn't that interesting? That a lot of us have thought about this as the same bottom, two cheeks of the same bottom. Putting it politely,
no question.
But
that's new. I mean, we knew that 40 years, 50 years ago, didn't we?
Yeah, sure. Nothing's really changed. Changed. But what's been interesting in the last couple of years has been, I mean, there's been a few iterations of this kind of new upstart party, haven't there? But the latest iteration of it was with Reform UK. And I can remember, I've got quite a lot of friends and family who live in the north in England, and they were very much fucking Reform, and all this sort of stuff. And
Come on! Yes.
Are you going to vote Reform? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to vote Reform because I think it's bullshit. I think they're just the same. I think they're just the same. Yes. And then you've seen, like on the weekend, Richard Tice, unbelievable comment. Unbelievable.
I don't associate with that lot.
Yeah. I
think he forgot he was on TV, basically.
I think their only chance is for him to come out and go, wow, I don't know what the hell I was saying. I'm so sorry, and apologize.
He's been offered an olive branch by the Paul Thorpe chap.
Yeah, right. Paul Thorpe, the watch guy. See, he's another guy that's just
Paul Thorpe. Yeah, Paul.
I like Paul Thorpe, but when I first started watching Paul Thorpe, he used to talk about expensive watches, didn't he? That was his old shtick.
I thought it was going to get a bit tasty on there, but he's a very wise granddad.
Yeah, I mean, he seems like a reasonable chap. But yeah, it's interesting to see that. And a lot of people are also saying today, as I did, it's like, well, sorry, but I told you so. But I think Paul Thorpe's gone further, hasn't he? He said that everyone who became a member should demand their money back.
Yeah, and again, there's nothing new with that. I mean, if I can roll my confession in here,
go on,
and include Reform, Tommy Robinson, and at the risk of inflaming people's tempers and opinions, I referred to us and I didn't speak for you. I don't think. I think I made it quite clear that I'm not speaking for you. But for next Tuesday, I referred to it this morning as entertainment, watching the American election, and I think wasn't probably the right word to use. It will be on one level entertaining, but to call it only that, I think is a little bit dismissive and disrespectful. I will be rubbernecking. I think we both will be. We'll be watching in horror and incredulity. And I don't know if you saw that CNN interview. This is where it's going. People are getting worse and worse. Did you see that? Mehdi Hassan, there was a Ryan somebody or other. Did you see it?
No, I've read about it in the last couple of hours where he said to Mehdi Hassan,
I hope your bleeper doesn't go off.
Check your beeper or something.
I hope it doesn't go off, I think is what he said. Live on there. And it was really awful, awkward, terrible. And it's like, well, okay, these sort of things get said, but there's an assumption, isn't there, about news media in that setting where there is a line, kind of, but that line's moved. It's just full of pundits. It's nothing really going on, and we're no one to talk. But I know that's what I'm doing. I'm not pretending to be profound. I'm sharing my views about
that. That was an interesting one as well, because I haven't had time to really. I haven't had time to think about it and come to
the conclusion. Chew a piece of grass.
Conclusion, and yeah. But what I would start with is. Yeah, I think it's a pretty extreme comment. But on the other hand, Mehdi Hassan, I think, is a real nasty piece of work. He is a real nasty piece of work. Yeah. And but I mean, if what he will do now is he will get on his kind of high horse.
Oh, he's got a carte blanche to as a platform now. As the hugely sort of offended and insulted person. And that tells you, doesn't it? All you need to know is that that was a personal. It was a very poor taste joke, insult, whatever it was. It was the stuff of drunk people in bars, really, and not. But then again, I am perhaps expecting too much of a CNN studio, but if we can see it for what it
Well,
is,
can I make a confession? Yeah, I'm going to make a confession.
All right, we're both doing it now.
Okay.
So go on.
I said on Twitter to who was that guy, the First Minister of Scotland, the racist, racist one.
There were just
This
too many
guy's
white men. Scotland was too white for him. The snow's white. Yes, the paint's white.
On Twitter, he was doing that again a couple of weeks ago, and I said, "Check your pager."
Did you?
Yep.
Did you? What? Why did you do that?
Because I thought it was funny.
Okay, yeah, all right. That is the right answer. If there is a right answer to that quip.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And what happened? Did you get a lot of heat for that? So,
No.
That's not probably the best response.
Well, yeah, in my thigh pocket, but luckily,
yeah,
I was ready. No. But the thing
hold
about
on a minute. Is this a joke that I'm way behind? Then, had that Ryan guy been wanting to make this joke?
Look, I made that joke to him like within hours of that really happening.
Oh, really?
I was on it because
and you took advantage of being on a free speech.
What's his name? Hamza. It is free speech.
Hamza Yusuf, isn't it? Yeah.
Hamza Yusuf. Yeah. You know what? I wouldn't say it if I was on network TV.
No, right. Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
Just go on.
Your confession. I mean, you probably wouldn't say it here, apart from
no. I wouldn't say it here as well. I said it to Hamza Yusuf because I think he is an absolute nasty, disgusting cretin, and he's meant to be representing British interests. But as far as I can see.
Well, that's very interesting. Okay, so that's
all he talks about is how racist everyone in Britain is, how we should be sending all our money to a group that I view as terrorists,
which we can take back to our earlier discussion, which is you've got context.
And when he comments on Twitter, I would say that he gets ratioed every time. Like he's obviously pretty.
Mean? Oh, he gets pulled up.
The vast majority of the comments are against him and in disagreement with him.
Okay. Is that what ratioing is?
Well, ratio has a specific meaning, which means hang on, I'll Google it so I'm saying it right.
But what I find fascinating about that is that in this case, you're the little guy, aren't you? He's got a platform and a public position. And the only redress you felt you had in that moment was a Molotov cocktail of a humorous comment, inflammatory.
Yeah. It was a joke, you know, and lots of people found it funny. Yes. But ratioing is when you put a tweet up and you get more replies than likes or retweets.
Okay.
And usually that's because people are replying negatively to you.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a lot of people you'll notice people like it's quite interesting on X because I would say it's probably more the sort of left-wingy kind of guys who get ratioed the most.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's understandable on the platform.
Makes sense. Yeah.
But he's still staying there and putting up with it for some reason. Japan, no. Wrong answer. Unless we moved on to something else.
Thanks for that, T-Duck. Olive. Next thing he's going to ask for half pint, isn't he? Do you remember that?
No.
Well, you don't remember Love Thy Neighbor?
I do, yes.
You don't remember there was the guy.
God forgive me. Yeah.
You don't remember there was the guy in the pub who would always be
Japanese called Half Pint.
He was always about 20 minutes behind the conversation, and then suddenly he'd go, I'll have half. And people
I see. I'll have half. That was it. That was him, wasn't it? I remember I'll have half. I don't remember the context of it. Thank you very much for that.
Oh, there you go. Love Thy Neighbor, yeah.
We're not likely to see that on our screens anytime soon, except on Jim Davidson's comedy channel.
It's a shame though. I've seen people various times on social media talking about, what about that awful Love Thy Neighbor? It's like it was literally anti-racist.
It was.
It was literally making fun of the idiot white guy.
Yes.
Old-fashioned racist.
Hand shaken by Harold Wilson. He was never going to forget. And then his black neighbor came along and shook his hand. That was one of the funniest things ever, wasn't it?
I think most of the people who complain about it haven't watched it. Because I don't think you could watch it and
ideological
not get it.
co-opting of things,
Yeah,
so rather than the intrinsic value or intrinsic comment. Someone has responded here to what you said earlier on. Dream of a hive, and what is this? Somebody confounded apiarist, is that right? Beekeeper. I thought the UK birth rate was high.
I can get you one for 70 quid if you want
a beehive.
Yeah, like my local cooperative.
You walked past it this morning, didn't you?
There's 70 quid. Yeah,
be careful though, moving a beehive, Tony, even for 70 quid. Right. Something to do with Muhammad being the number one boy's name. A culture war quip, you could say there. I think you may have a view on foreigners having more children. I came to Portugal as a foreigner and had a child. I did not personally. That wasn't mine and Tony's love child. That's a topic for a different episode. But yes, us foreigners got jiggy with it, and it became a further burden to the system here, which I actually don't think we are. But that's a whole other
and the planet.
But then, yes, thank you, Tony. Nice put down there. Yes, in a human-hating kind of way. But I think, generally speaking, they're not even touching the sides, so to speak, to unfortunately mix my metaphors there, dream of a hive. I was analysing the birth rate graph across the world, and it's pretty scary. Here we go. Many countries are underneath replacement point. Now, that's why it's a problem. Tony, please get a grip. That's why this is a problem. Whether or not there are immigrants coming and having loads of children in a country near you, generally speaking, we are not replacing ourselves. And that is a massive problem. I mean, and it's a political problem because so many political people hate people now, don't they? Hate human beings. They want to kill them in different ways.
Hey, funnily enough, I was on the UK website today checking out what my pension might be.
Seriously, you've had a really good day, haven't you?
But I had a look. I said, I don't know what popped into my head. Maybe I'd had a look at my bank balance or something. I don't know. But I thought,
how long now? When can you draw it down?
God, it's a long time. It's still a long. Well, I say a long time. It's probably going to go like that. It's 24 years or something.
Is it?
And it's
when are you retiring? When you're 80?
but what I you can't but what I noticed is there's definitely, because I've looked at it before and I don't remember all these kind of caveats that are kind of written across the screen. Under current law, if things continue as they are now, there's all these kind of little caveats that are written on that. Yeah. They weren't there before. So
no, probably not. Can you won't remember this, but probably, and nor do I, by the way, but can you imagine the pensions of the UK back in the day when people were getting full salary pensions? You probably started work at 16. You had one of your dad's old suits on, and you were told, look, you'll retire when you're 70 and you'll get paid your wages forever. Is there a contract to sign or anything? No. We don't have to worry about that. You'll get the money. It'll be someone will bring it round. Someone else on a pension will bring it round.
Your mortgage will be paid off when you're about 40.
Free healthcare, free education, happy times. Well, that's the boomers. Boomers had all of that, didn't they? And now when Tony looks at his pension readout for the future, like, please don't look at this too often. It'll make the value go down.
Hey, what I would do is I would cut their winter fuel allowance.
They can afford it.
They can afford it. They can afford it.
Okay, Helder.
They're not old enough to have been fighting in any wars. What are they on about?
And they can't have children anymore, a lot of them, can they? So they're not going to help with this point here. Joanna could, but won't. Crypto is not going to go there, so to speak. She will be gutted when I pass that news on to her at the gym.
Can I just say something about the beehives?
If you must. You're buzzing, right?
Because this was one of my Portugal I don't believe it moments.
Oh right, okay. Meldering
because I had this because I was in my local farming cooperativa, and I saw the beehives, and I thought, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't mind just buying one of them and sticking it on my land and having a go, So I went up and I said, well, how much for the beehive? And he said, it's not 70 quid, 70 euros, let's say.
Yeah.
And they've got all the kit, and he showed me, we've got the suit and we've got
you got
to look, all that, right?
Yes.
And I'm like,
70 euro.
No. All in, you were going to be about 200 euro. But obviously, some of that stuff you wouldn't have to keep, you know what I mean, as you expanded. Because eventually you're going to have 50 hives, aren't you? For your honey
Not
production.
finishing it. No, you can't do this yet. It's only 55 minutes too. Stop it.
Hang on. Anyway,
okay, yes.
Then I said to him, right. And then I said, right, what about the bees? And he said, oh, no. I'm like, what do you mean, no? Oh, no, we don't sell the bees. I'm like, well, where do you get the bees from? He said, I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm like, what the fuck? You sell all this stuff.
No, hold on. That makes sense, though, in some way, doesn't it? It's like buying Tupperware. It's like asking for the sandwiches when you buy Tupperware.
Come on.
No,
Come on.
No. I can imagine you. No, I can see you in Intermarché with a pint.
No. The honey. Maybe the honey. Maybe the honey. That would be like asking for the honey. But I think the bees is kind of an integral part of the production, isn't it?
Well, it is, but that's not how it works. I mean,
it'd be like buying
bees. How can they keep bees in the shop?
I'll give you a better analogy. I've got a better one.
Right.
You go to Ford, right?
Yeah.
And you say, I'll have that Mondeo. You pay, what is it nowadays to have a new car? 50 grand or something, probably.
Yes.
You put the notes over, the 50 grand notes. You get in, turn the key, nothing happens.
There's no petrol.
Oh, no, it doesn't come with the engine. No, we spoke to Carl Munson, and he told us that we shouldn't be,
So he's now
no sandwich with the Tupperware.
He's now a top advisor.
No engine with the car.
No, what were you expecting? There was like a little Tupperware full of bees at the back for when you went in that day. How would they keep bees? Or a special order?
How would they keep bees?
Yes, in a hive, which you bought. Oh, come on! Can I move on now? Because
let's see what.
It does not help. People say, "I don't want to bring a child into this world," which is obviously ridiculous. Tell me a better time to have children. Exactly. I've never worried about that when I've been in flagrante, as it were. I don't get it. I just think people. It's a shame people are afraid to have children. It really is. And someone, I think, low birth rate is part of the narrative. I don't know why you're laughing. I'm not going to ask either. It's part of the narrative for uncontrolled immigration. Dream of a Hive is on one tonight, I think. Seeing things of a certain kind. Do you know Dream of a Hive? Which got
Is
it you? It's you, isn't it?
No, I'm not. It's not me.
Okay, fertility is linked to contraception, homosexuality, abortion, fertility problems, and most importantly, financial pressure associated with raising. Yeah, but I mean, that money thing is too expensive to have kids. It never stopped. Millions and billions of people did it. Come on.
Yeah.
Software devs.
You're never rich enough to.
They're probably to blame for this, aren't they?
Kids.
Okay. No, exactly. If you keep waiting, you miss your chance. What would be very interesting is to break down the different ethnic group reproduction rates. Remember, Muhammad is the most popular name on that same tip there, Hugh. I've literally watched that video on Portugal's anxiety this morning. I quite liked it. I mean, it's well made, isn't it, Helder? And it does hit some really good points. Okay, fair enough. Good evening to you, Squire.
Why Helder? So you agree with her? What's causing anxiety in your opinion? I'm assuming, maybe I'm assuming badly, but I'm assuming Helder Pinto is Portuguese.
Yeah. We could, unless it's a carefully crafted pseudonym for an expat. That's a very Portuguese sounding name without wanting to sound racist. There, okay, but he is probably sat there with his jeans around his belly, with a flat cap on and a check shirt, right, as we speak, drinking some aguardent. What do you think?
Who's that? Me?
No, Helder. I'm just completing the Portuguese stereotype, which I hope you enjoyed.
Oh, like with an enchada over his shoulder.
What's that? Beehive.
Yeah, you don't know that kind of hoe.
Oh yes, is that called an enchada?
Yeah, they're brilliant things.
They are it's the only tool you need, isn't it?
Yeah.
Probably for beekeeping and everything, and in the bedroom. Same. We're not experiencing that. Maybe he went to a few universities. Yes, he probably did. He seems very academic to me, like a punk.
Well, what was that the other week? We had that thing about what was it? Some really huge percentage of university students I think it's 24% of university students in Portugal are suffering from some mental illness.
Yeah, and this guy was trying to make the point that it was their Portuguese genes that might make them anxious, as in not the genes that you wear around your waist if you're a certain Portuguese aged gentleman. But a genetic disposition for anxiety. I mean, I think that there is understandably loads of anxiety in the schooling system because it's a strange old place and kids react quite badly to it.
Yeah.
I would say. Anyway, this is a sort of place where you can confess such information. I moved to Portugal because Biden won. Or he's linking income to anxiety. Well, there is that case, but I just don't get it. I would love to hear what Harold thinks about it.
I could link income to anxiety, to be fair.
Well, of course you can, but it's not the poorest country in the world or the lowest. It's not well paid. It's not the lowest paid, is it? So you'd expect somewhere else to be more anxious on that basis.
Yeah.
We applied. Not really. Okay. We applied for residency well before the election. Yeah, but just would like to have a T-shirt with that on it to wear at certain meetups and have a bit of fun. I get the idea that on the surface, Portuguese are very amiable, polite. However, what happens at home may be very different. Like all of us, of course.
Could be.
Anxiety, and there is plenty of that around in Portugal. It goes way back. The strategist, if you watch that video. Skywatch, Carlos, good to see you. Let's make sure we get your link shared so people can find out more about you, Skywatch, Carlos. I also recently heard that they leave more people that are mentally not well just go about everyday life instead of stashing them into institutions. But that's not anxiety, is it? That's different to people being special needs and being cared for in the community, which I quite like.
Yeah. That's the other thing. You need to, like, anxiety. It's the same as depression, isn't it? Like when people talk about being depressed.
Yeah.
Like I've known. Thank you, Crypto. Yeah, I've known someone who's
58 minutes yet tonight.
Clinically depressed.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's that's different from being depressed, right? Because I wouldn't try and claim that I suffer from anxiety, but I have times when I'm anxious.
Look, as a somewhat cynical YouTube filmmaker,
like what's the difference between you know what I mean?
I think Mark, yes, absolutely, and
clinical anxiety.
Yes, and exactly. And Mark Manson thought to himself, "Okay, I've got a sponsor who's up for sponsoring one of my videos, and I'd like to go to Portugal. Let's make it happen." I think it's something to do with it. Carl was saying, yes, okay, so we've done that, and maybe we will do some steps. I listened. Hugh liked the Trump Rogan interview. I want to call him Rogan Josh every time I see that name. I listened to most of Trump on Rogan. It was a lot of it was boring, and I like Rogan. All nighter on Tuesday, absolutely. It'd be like the old days, but without the sex. Expat endurance, hopefully. Expat endurance show, because it's only me and Tony here. Expat endurance show with cake eating completion is what's needed. I'm up for that. Yeah, I'll take that. I like both Trump and Rogan, so a lot of it was old news to me. Yeah, there is that, isn't there? Trump on Rogan was indeed a bit boring, but nonetheless, but historical nonetheless. I think it was quite interesting when they talked about tariffs, and I prefer to hear Rogan talk about aliens and pyramids.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I get that, TD. I'm like that with that. I always call him Kermit.
Yes, Jordan Peterson.
Yeah. I used to really like his psychology lectures.
Yes, yeah.
And now I don't watch anything that he does anymore.
Well, yes, and he's getting paid the big bucks, and that must have inevitably made some difference, despite all the, I guess, notes to the contrary or indications. Personally, I do not think it's possible for reform to be folded into the Conservative Party in the future, potentially with Farage at the helm. Do not think it's impossible. Okay, so that could happen. I'm like Jeff. I'm not AI. Is that Jeff? The guy who? Hello. Is he AI? Is he AI or is he a real commentator on YouTube? That Jeff fellow. I think you're not sure what I'm talking about.
Jeff, is he American in Portugal? That guy?
No, there's a Jeff who's like one of these commentators on YouTube of the within the Patriot sort of movement, which they may well be calling themselves. Says hello, my name. And he doesn't say my name. Hello and good evening. Very interesting scenes for Tommy Robinson today. And he talks like that for the whole thing. Tariffs are really a federal sales tax. I'll send you a video that encourages buying American. Taxes are more about behavior control. If they just want to raise money, then print it, which of course they can do. Surrender is here. Is that a play on words of some sort? It's called virtue signaling. It definitely is. And we notice a lot of it, don't we, on our travels, talking of James O'Brien, as we were earlier on. And that is why income tax is such a bad idea. It discourages productivity. Thank you. The GOP is doing well in early voting in the swing states. Trump, and that means something different in the United States. We might have a little look into that. about what swinging is in the United States next Tuesday
Yeah.
evening. Trump is looking like he will win 277 EC votes with Pennsylvania as a toss-up. Thank you, Crypto.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting as the night progresses, because, of course, I'm old enough to remember when Trump first won, and it was supposed to be a 99.9% chance of Clinton.
Well, we'll be watching it. We'll be watching it, won't we?
Yeah.
Are we likely to see any decent and chunky results if we stay up until the early hours of Wednesday morning?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, what bothers me a little bit is even on this Portuguese radio, I hear good words from Kamala, but only bad words from Trump.
That's very interesting, because I used to notice this in Hong Kong, and I can remember saying to my friends there when Brexit was happening, and I saw the Hong Kong news referring to Brexit as, and look, I know some of you have got the opinion that Brexit was stupid and ridiculous, but I don't think that's the place of the mainstream news to talk about. Do you know what I mean? It's not. They shouldn't be giving their. Okay, if it's overtly an opinion piece, that's one thing. But when you're watching the news, they shouldn't be trying to sway it. So I saw people in like I had a work colleague in Hong Kong, and she was saying to me, "Oh, you know, me and my husband think Brexit is stupid," for example. And so I said to her,
"Where'd you get the idea?" Yeah.
Well, this was in Hong Kong, you know. So I said, "Okay, so presumably you're going to be just fine with all of the borders in Asia, all of them. So, you know, Philippines, Vietnam, Thailand, all the borders coming down, and the whole lot being run by Beijing. Are you okay with that? Unelected people in Beijing run all of those countries, and people can freely move here from the poorest countries. What do you think will happen? Will that undermine wages in Hong Kong?
Well, and that's any sensible debate of that kind of silence,
because whatever side of it you're on, there are rational and sensible arguments.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Okay. And yes, do you know, I was able to open up some old Apple devices the other day, and I found something called a Lexit brochure, which was the left case for leaving Europe, and that was entirely silenced, was it not?
Well, wasn't that the whole contradiction with Corbyn? It was really weird, because
he was a Brexiteer for sure. Yeah, just couldn't say it, could he?
Yeah, there was a point where you had. I remember posting it on Facebook. I said, "Look at the irony of this. You've got a Brexiteer arguing to remain, and a Remainer arguing to Brexit at the same. At one point, it was really like that. It was just completely ridiculous."
Yes, yeah. And which group were you thrown out of for sharing that?
I got at the time. Well, I told you at the time. I made a point of joining.
Oh, you did. Yeah.
Well, I made a point of joining pro and anti-Brexit groups to try and
your life it will never be
the
same.
Oh my God, they hated me.
Bitcoin nearing the 88, methinks tether holders are buying on fear of the DOJ freezing US dollars. Is that right? Is that what you
I know all these acronyms now. That's really bad.
All
Bitcoin nearing the all-time high. Methinks tether holders buying the fear of the Department of Justice freezing the US dollar.
Standing right now. Yeah, okay. Same thing in Belgium, getting my grandparents worked up about.
I've got the Riz, Carl.
Do you need to go? Okay. Surely there's take some Imodium straight after the show, mate. I am guilty of not replacing myself.
Yeah.
Major inconvenience. I think we're drawing to a close tonight.
I sometimes say that, Crypto. Sometimes I think, man, I really wish I had a clone of myself. Then I think, no, I don't.
Yeah, nobody wants that. There is no money left. It's what? Jesus Christ has suddenly turned up on the, unless that's Jeremy Corbyn. Show yourself.
Is there a difference?
For some of us, died in the wall leftist, Tony. No, there is no Saint Jeremy. There is no money left. It's an illusion. Okay, I'm sure the politicians will stand with us. We're old. Excellent, very funny. I give it to Trump. He can still hold an intelligible conversation and even sound human. Yeah, which I struggle to hear that in Kamala, I have to say. I think we need to ask ourselves, to what extent can we rely on a lot of guys called Muhammad to crypto strategist? Be surprised how many Muhammads there are working in the city, I suspect, crypto strategist. Australia is the main place to get bees. So there you go, Tony. This has been a very useful evening. Dream of a Hive thinks it's a good price, and you just need to pop to Australia. I somehow think Australian customs and
I'll pop over and drop off your euro, and then I'll go get some bees.
But you've got
from
a
Australia
€2 start, haven't you?
on the way.
Yeah, but they're not going to. Oh, if you arrived with bees in Australia, you would be immediately imprisoned, wouldn't you? Or, and have face capital punishment. Could you take bees out of the country, do you think?
I don't know. There's a joke here. There's a joke here somewhere, but I can't think of it.
The old joke on the Australian customs is, "G'day,
yeah.
Have you got a criminal record?" And you say,
"I didn't think you still needed one."
I didn't think you still. Now, when I went to see a spiritual teacher, and I was expecting that question. I was thinking, this is not the place to be a smart ass. And he said, "Business or pleasure?" And I said, "Well, I'm actually here to see a spiritual teacher here in Australia." And he said, "What's he going to teach you, mate?" And I said, "How to be free of unhappiness." And he said, "Have a great stay." And that was it. It was really, really nice little moment. The bees just turn up on their own as long as the hive is internally waxed. Not unlike yourself, Tony.
Internally waxed?
Yes. So I've heard. So says your wife's husband. What is it? Your husband's wife's partner? Who is this now? Oh, gosh.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
No, best tool ever. Is that you or me? Oh, it's the
enchilada. The
enchilada that you put on your shoulder. Kids are like cars. When you got one, you never got any money. It's like a boat as well, right? And other such projects. How much is your yacht costing you these days, Carl? You got it moored in. Please don't blow my cover. It will completely ruin my reputation as a virtue signaling environmentalist. The younguns it is a solar yacht. In my defense, the younguns are being terrified by the latest climate crisis. Yeah. I guess that would cool your ardor, wouldn't it? But then again, we had our own problems when we were teenagers, didn't we, Tony? And it didn't stop us getting down and being amorous with
ozone hole.
Okay. Yes, exactly. And that wasn't a turn-off. In fact, it sounds quite nice, doesn't it? They don't realize that we have already been through the global cooling hoax. They think the world is going to fry soon. Do they really, though? Anxiety in the UK seems to have risen dramatically in recent years, about the same time as Cadbury's quality.
Go on, Jackie.
She is on to something there, isn't she? In Portugal, it's the lowest paid in Europe. Any news on the Georgia Maidan? Do you know what that means?
Well, that's the man who was shot in Lisbon, wasn't it?
No, it's not.
Is that?
No. That's Adair Monish. I don't know who you're referring to there.
Well, they're very, very similar sounding names. It's quite easy.
The untrained ear, Tony. That's exactly the sort of problem we've got, everybody. JP has made a great impact. Which one is this? His recent. Oh, John Peterson. Okay. It was the first time I voted in the US as a Portuguese living here. Oh, wow. So we've got a perspective of a Portuguese in the US there. This is quite the country. I can tell you that. I still miss Portugal every day. Are you more or less anxious, though, Helder? Agreed that the Portuguese media is very leftist, but then again, that's the case in every country, even the US. You've got to go out of your way. Yeah, academics, the media, it's all run by us, generally speaking, by people who think a certain way. Why do you think of the border control in Germany from Poland isn't now France? Does that mean the end to the EU? These are cans of worms that we cannot open right now. Tony, I think we should conclude there and invite everybody to our not 24-hour, 12-hour special or thereabouts.
Be there or be square. Not that there's anything wrong with being square. Yeah, it's hip to be square.
Okay, so anything interesting happened to you this week, Tony, before we go?
Well, knock, knock.
Who's there, Tony?
Hold
on, I'm not really finished.
Okay, knock, knock.
Who's there, Tony? Who?
Werewolves of London.
Oh, Christ.
Munson and the Geeza. Munson and the Geeza. Reporting from the scene. Munson and the Geeza. News in every ride.